Thanks, everybody. It is awesome to be here. Especially love conferences in my hometown. It was a nice two-stop tea ride to get over here. As we were saying, I'm Evan. I'm the co-founder of Reprise. We're a demo creation platform that helps go-to-market teams create winning demos and product experiences. And I want to talk a little bit about the way in which the software buying journey in B2B has changed and how product marketing is uniquely positioned to take advantage of this and help your companies win in this new world. And so first of all, right, I want to focus on this idea that the buyer has changed, right? And this is something I noticed. So my background's in sales, and I know salesperson in a room full of marketers, but my background's in sales. And when I first started out in sales 10 to 15 years ago, buyers were very different. There was much of a, I don't know what I don't know. Maybe I haven't bought SaaS before. Please hold my hand. Tell me what I need to know about how my company should work. And the fact is, if your go-to-market motion is still based on the way that those buyers bought, and so many of them are, you're pissing off your buyers. and it's just not the way that things work today. Today's buyers want much more upfront. They need information. These are now buyers who have bought tens of pieces of software at multiple companies over and over again. It's not that they don't know what they don't know. They have a very specific need and they want to find it. How do I get on your website and immediately know not just what you do, but how you do it? And that's why you've got 77% of buyers saying that their last B2B buying experience was too difficult. And they're trying to do this. 45% of a buyer's time is spent trying to do research independently, and they really want to be able to experience your product on their own. Only 5% of a buyer's time is spent with a sales rep during the buying journey. And so if only 5% of the time is when you're actually giving a demo and engaging with your product, we're missing the boat. And that's why we need to be enabling these buyers to buy the way that they want. And so much of what we've been doing in the go-to-market space has been, how can we force them to go through the old method, right? And so, let's automate the amount that we're cold calling people because then we'll get better results. And no, we're not. We're seeing diminishing returns on that, right? Let's continue to force buyers into a discovery call. I see, it's funny, my LinkedIn, and I have, a lot of sales LinkedIn, I get kind of equal posts between people saying, I was a sales rep. I had a buyer today. I got on the call with them and I said, well, you get a demo next week and we're going to do 30 minutes of discovery first. And they said they didn't want to answer my questions until they got a demo. So I said, see you later. And everyone kind of claps. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why is this what we're doing? Because the other half of my LinkedIn are those buyers posting saying, I just had that experience and it sucked. Like, why is this happening to me? I just want to know what you do. And so how do we fix this? The answer is product marketing, right? The answer is that the group in this room is uniquely positioned to do that because you have a unique understanding of both the go-to-market and the product and can start to help your company adjust your go-to-market motion to what buyers want, which is more product experiences sooner. Now, you're probably thinking, so you're talking to me about a freemium product-led growth motion, right? I'm not necessarily. And that's not to say that those aren't good things, right? That freemium product-led growth is a fantastic movement, and if it works for you, that's great, but it doesn't always, right? Not every product works with a freemium model. There are tons of them, whether it's a healthcare booking system. I'm not going to put HIPAA data into something that's free, or a security system, or my product only gets value if you have 10 people logging into it. Well, you're not going to be able to get 10 people to sign up for a free trial at once. But that doesn't excuse you from needing to provide those experiences. And even if you can provide freemium, you can't just put a freemium trial up on your website and say, boom, we're done, you're good, right? Because for a lot of products, you have to do work to get that value. And so you dump someone into an empty instance, and they don't know what to do. And now they're just bouncing off of your product. But again, even if those things are true for you, you still have buyers that want product experiences as soon as possible. So what are we talking about here? Well, I'm going to go actually through the entire buying process, not the entire buying process, up to a proof of concept evaluation, and talk about how we can change this. The first thing is enabling buyer research, right? So when a buyer comes to your website now, They want to know within the first 15 seconds, what do you do? But then really importantly, how do you do it? Because again, these are jaded buyers who have had too many software purchases not work out. And just the fact that you provide ROI is table stakes. If you don't provide ROI, you don't have a company in the first place, right? So what these buyers want to know is, am I going to hate my life logging into your product every day? Right? Is getting that ROI going to be a pleasant experience for me? And the sooner you can tell me that, the sooner you have a leg up over your competitors. So put the product where the buyer needs it. Put it on your website. Within a few seconds of being on your website, your buyers need to be able to experience your product, ideally in an interactive way that shows them that it is easy, fun, enjoyable, delightful, whatever great marketing words you want to use to actually get the ROI out of your product. You put it on your website, you put it in email marketing, right? Like we should be, as product marketers, should be looking at ways to put the product more into the email marketing again, right? Because if I see, I probably have 5,000 unread emails, and a lot of them are cold marketing emails, and they're telling me, get all of this ROI. Very few are telling me, what would that be like? And then when people raise their hands to talk to you, they actually want to talk to you, right? A big problem, because we're not providing these experiences, is buyers doing research, go on your website, and they say, give me a demo, and then they talk to sales. And then they bounce right back off again, because all they really wanted to do was understand what the product did. They were doing research. Even if they were interested in you, they might ghost you, your sales team, for 6 weeks. Because they were still in the research stage, and that demo request was a symptom of you not giving them what they wanted. When you put that information on your website, you're going to have more efficient sales experiences, and those buyers are actually going to engage. The conversations are going to be, I saw what you do on your website, here's my problem, how do you solve that particularly for me? Instead of, so what do you guys do? And I've been a salesperson in those conversations, they are not a lot of fun. And so what you're effectively getting is more qualified meetings off of putting your product farther up in the funnel. And so then once you've done that, how can we enable buyers when they're actually talking to your salespeople? And this, again, I think is an area where product marketers can start to get more involved, because we need to start thinking about the product and the product demo as a go-to-market asset. And you all have already been saying this for years and years, right? But now the rest of the world is starting to come around to this, that actually your most important go-to-market asset is your product. And the product marketing team needs to be controlling that and enabling that. We need to enable salespeople to give customized demos once they get there, right? So imagine now this new world, you've got a buyer that's been on your website, they've taken the Harbor Tour demo on your website, they've gone through, maybe you have a demo library. If you look at someone like Pendo, they have a whole library of demos on their website you can take for each individual use case. And now they're saying, okay, I'm interested in those 3. And if you're really doing this well, you're able to feed that information back to the salesperson saying, here are the 3 demos they looked at, here's where they spent the most time. And that salesperson can then take that and use that research and put it into a demo asset you've given them, so that you're giving a demo that's customized not just in terms of what they say, but in terms of what it looks like. Data that looks like them. Put their logo in the demo itself. Give them an experience that helps them feel that ROI. Right? And you're seeing this is going to be a theme in everything I say, is feeling the ROI of the product. Because again, it's very easy to say, you'll save money, you'll increase efficiency, you'll do, there's a ton of products in here that all have different ROI pitches, and I'm sure they're all accurate. The difference is the journey it takes to get there, and that's what we need to be showing people. And when you're showing you're relevant, buyers will offer more information. So one of the things that's part of this motion, by the way, is killing that discovery call. And I know this is not a room full of salespeople, but you should be advocating this with your sales team. That 30-minute answer 20 questions to put in the CRM before I actually show you what you showed up for has got to go. It's just not what buyers want. And if we're putting that information up front, we're going to enable that and help the sales teams feel more comfortable doing it. And that will help buyers give more information. Right? What we want to do is provide the sales team with product tools that help them do that discovery with the product. So what I'm talking about here is, instead of 20 questions and then I'll show you something, it's giving salespeople the tools to give a custom demo and then say, so here's how I think you would use my product. Is that right? And now you've got a buyer who's going to say, oh yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking. Or, and honestly, this is just as good an outcome, no, that wasn't what I was thinking, but let me tell you about what I was thinking, because you're showing that you're being relevant. And this is a group of people that can enable that experience. And then finally, advocate to buyers internally, or give buyers the ability to advocate internally. And what I mean by that, so again, we're talking about this jaded buyer that's bought a million things. And frankly, a lot of those jaded buyers might be in this room as well. Part of that experience is, I'm going to buy something in a committee. I don't buy something on my own, but I'm not inviting the salesperson to that meeting. This is especially true in a post-pandemic world where things are well, hopefully post-pandemic, we're getting there, slowly but surely, where people are doing these things remotely. So it's not even like the salesperson can show up and be in the conference room when that happens. And buyers don't want them there. They're going to limit their access to just them and then bring things to a committee. So what we need to be doing on the product marketing front is enabling salespeople with product assets so that they can be in the room without being in the room. I did not click forward enough. All right. Because what they're being asked, and by the way, this is happening right now. Like my own CFO asks me this when I go, I'm currently our interim marketing leader. When I go to buy her a new software, she's not just asking me, does it provide ROI? She's asking me, is the user experience good enough? Are we actually going to get the ROI that it can deliver? Show that to me. And if we're able to provide people with a demo, a custom guided demo that they bring into that room and they say, here's how I would do it. Not just, here's the case, here are the numbers, because again, ROI calculators are a very common thing, everybody's got them. The next question is, how do you derive that? We need to be enabling our buyers to show that internally, and fundamentally, that's a marketing asset. You need to be creating product-focused marketing assets that enable your buyers to go into that room and say, this is how I'm going to derive the ROI that's promised. And that is so much more powerful than just saying, here's a sheet of numbers and boy, they look great. Can I buy this, please? So how do we do this in product marketing? We're making the first interaction with the customer your product. And this is what we need to be advocating. Right? And we need to put product resources everywhere. They should be in email campaigns. They should be on your website. They should be in sales collateral. They should be everywhere you can possibly put it. Your product is your most important asset. If there's one thing that I can have folks take away from this, it is your product is your most important asset in go-to-market. And so we need to be making sure that that is getting in front of people as soon as possible. And these are all product-led principles, right? So I have on here, your next job interview will ask about product-led principles. I'm sure you're all happy where you are, though, so don't worry about that. But no, the important thing is that we need to start expanding our thinking about product-led growth beyond that freemium model. Because the overwhelming market forces that are driving more and more companies to move to freemium are true for you regardless of whether or not you're doing that. And so we need to be talking about it as product marketers in a way that says, look, product-led growth is not just stick a free trial on our website. It is a symptom of the fact that buyers need to have that experience sooner, and we can be giving it to them. So how do we do this? You could, oh, my build didn't work. You could convince your engineers to build bespoke demos for your prospects, but let's be honest, that's not going to happen. Engineering resources are very difficult to get a hold of, especially as the economy starts to turn right now, and then even more constricted are sales engineers who have traditionally been forced into this role. We're starting to see things like, where a sales engineer to sales person ratio used to be around 1 to 5, we're seeing it more like 1 to 10. I talked to an organization a couple weeks ago that had 5 sales engineers who give 90 demos. They need help. So, this is the part where I tell you, yes, I used to be a salesperson. We do this. And so I'm going to quickly say, this is what we focus on at Reprise. We enable you to capture your product and create these types of assets for your website, for custom demos, for salespeople. And I'm happy to talk about that. And please, come talk to me at the booth. But essentially, what we're doing here is trying to enable this movement by allowing non-engineering folks to create product assets easily. A couple of clicks, you capture the thing, you make it work for you. But there are other ways too. You could do videos if you want. We are often used to help with videos. But what we're really focused on is helping to enable this motion. I'm actually going to move over to Q&A. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Does not have to be about Reprise. Like I said, we'll talk about it later. But oh, hey, we've got them.
It's already up there. Nice. So the first question we have is, what examples can you share of companies that do buyer enablement really well, especially during that research phase?
Wow, okay, so I mentioned Pendo. If you head over to Pendo's website, they actually have a whole demo library there that is based on sort of little vignettes about each different feature you can do with their product. Another one that I like a lot, Clary does this quite well. Troops has one. We actually have on our website a sort of showcase of demos that people have made and what they've been doing in this regard, and those can kind of help spark ideas. But we have just it's starting to happen, and what I like about the way that it's happening is it's not just like smack a demo in front of you. It is like, here's a library of things. Here's a library of little vignettes. And what I typically recommend for this, right, when you're looking to do this, when you're looking to put this on the website, you all have unique understanding of the product, but it also helps to bring in that salesperson and ask them, hey, when you're on a demo, and there are going to be some moments where when the prospect nods their head, you know you've got them. You know that's a deal. Find out what those moments are. Those are what you want to be putting on your site.
Awesome. We gate all of our demos on our website. Is this a hindrance?
Oh, this is a really good question. I think yes. I don't think gating all of your demos up front will help you, because the fact is this is something that's new and buyers aren't expecting it. So when they hit a gate, what they're expecting is, I'm going to get a white pager or one pager or an email or whatever it is, and then I'm going to get hounded by a BDR a bunch. And now you're not giving them what they want up front. But I'm not saying don't gate things at all, right? So there's a number of approaches to this. One would be if you have a longer demo where rather than doing the small vignettes approach, you want to do something longer. We recommend putting in what are called off-ramps. So you show them something cool and you say, hey, that was really cool. Do you want to talk to somebody or do you want to keep going? Another approach, and Pendo does this on their site, is they let you take one demo, and then when you click on the second one, they're gated after that. So I've seen that work really well. But I really don't think if you, and we do see people have success with it, but I think you have to, again, think about it from the buyer's perspective, where when they see a gate, they have a preset expectation for what's on the other side of it, and their expectation is harassment. And so you want to be providing that value, give them something so that they're more okay with the idea that they might get harassed.
Great point. So are you assuming that buyers and users are the same way when you say that they should feel the ROI of the product? If not, what should the user feel?
That is an excellent question. I think it's going to depend on your solution. I do think that users should feel the ROI of the product early and often, right? Because everyone wants to feel like they're contributing, and if the ROI is important for your company, then your end user wants to be able to feel like they're generating ROI with your product. That may or may not be the person making the buying decision. What the person making the buying decision still wants to know, though, is, am I going to have someone complaining to me about how awful this thing is to use that I make them use? Or worse, I'm going to buy this and they're not going to adopt it. Right? So even if your buyer is not your end user, they still care about the user experience in a way they didn't before, because that naivete of like, oh, it looks really cool, and so I hit buy and I get ROI, that's gone now because they've had too many software purchases not work out. And so even if your buyer is not your end user, they still need to understand what that user experience is like and be confident that their team is going to adopt and get value from it.
Without a discovery call, how do sales reps know which use cases to demo?
Excellent question. So there's a few different things, right? One, if you've put the demos up on your website and those demos are isolated to particular use cases, you know what they looked at before they asked to come talk to you. So that's helpful. The other piece is, I'm not saying don't do any discovery. I'm not saying like, hello, nice to meet you, let's go into the product. I'm saying that the expectation of your buyer on that call is that they're going to get a demo. And so ask a couple questions up front and then continue the conversation as you show things, right? And so you should be designing that sales motion, enabling that sales motion both through assets and through training, such that you're constantly providing drips of product value. You're giving them the reason they came for the call, as they are giving you ways that you can help align with what they're looking for.
This next one is interesting. If you need to customize the demo with customer logos or relevant data, we need to rely on the sales team to modify the demo. So how do we get them to invest the time?
I don't have a way to answer this without pitching Reprise quickly, so I'm going to just mention one of the things that we do is we allow you to put variables in your demos, so it's almost like Mad Libs. So the salesperson goes to launch the demo, and it asks, what's the customer's name, what's their logo, et cetera, and it fills it all in for you. So that's what I would recommend. I'm sure there are ways you could do it with engineering or creative video editing or things like that, but that's what I would say.
And when reps are selling multiple disparate products across a larger platform, how do you show value without slowing down deals or going down demo rabbit holes?
That's really interesting, and whoever asked that question, I'd love to kind of talk to you about it, because it depends a lot on how those solutions work. Like, are they all, like, do you have to buy all of them? In that case, then you want to think of, well, what's the, how do I have the Harbor Tour demo that shows the high level and then the level of getting in depth on a particular product or something like that. If it's not that, I'd go back to, again, allowing those buyers to self-qualify for the things that they need and identify, all right, if they were most interested in this use case and this product, what are the quick adjacencies that they might be interested in that I could use to kind of hook them elsewhere? Way back, my first sales job was selling plastic to food packaging manufacturers, which is, bear with me. But one of the things that we used to have at that job, we had a big book that said, if you're selling this product, here are other products that manufacturer might buy. In a case where you have multiple products, you would use the demos on your website to qualify for what is the initial thing I should be giving, and then provide the salespeople with a guide for, if they're coming to you for this, here are some other things to mention.
I think we have time for one more. How do you balance exposure for prospects and free insight to your competitors?
Excellent question. Your competitors know what your product looks like and what it does. Honestly, that's what I'm gonna, like, there is, unless you're like selling like to intelligence agencies or something, your competitors know what is, I mean, like, look, it's not that hard to ask a friend to take a demo of a competitor. And everybody does it, right? Like, and I've had people in our pipeline who I'm pretty sure are secret shoppers. It's just going to happen. Fundamentally, again, like, what your UI does is far less important than what is actually driving that UI and what are the insights you provide and what's the service like using your product and all those kinds of things. And if your interface, your design, those sorts of things really are a step ahead of your competitors, I don't want to hide that behind a form. I want to be smacking them in the face with it. And sure, maybe they follow me, but realistically, in the long run, if you're doing something right, your competitors are going to follow you anyway. So we do have this question a lot at Reprise when we say put the demo on your website, and people are like, well, my competitors will see. They've seen it anyway. So I wouldn't sacrifice the value to your go-to-market motion that this kind of change can provide for a defensive concern that your competition might understand what your product does.
I personally love that as a closing question. So
yeah.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you all so much.